zero in, focus on your stuff, respect your family, pray to God, work hard, put on the blinders, and everything you've ever wanted will happen for you.
Hi, I'm Janetta Croce, and this is Find Your Dolce, the new podcast where we explore joyful living and how to create your Dolce Vita life. I'm so excited that you're here. Thanks for joining. Let's get started. Hello and welcome, Matt from Sul Tavolo. Sul Tavolo is one of the city's amazing cheese providers, fresh cheese products. They are so good, and I am so happy to have you here today explaining your beautiful journey, telling us all about it, all about new things to come, and of course, how you add Dolce to your everyday. So welcome, Matt. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
Awesome. All right. So let's explain, first of all, how you and I know each other, because we met during the pandemic, really. And it was, an interesting time for everyone. I had decided to do a Dolce Vita Mercato. It was a virtual market. And I was really excited to bring together the Italian community that way. And I was sort of finding, existing vendors, but also new vendors. And that's when I came across Sul Tavolo. So I remember, finding on Instagram and being like, okay, new cheese provider. Very cool. I like what he's doing. Let's explore a little more. And you became a vendor, and that was our sort of the beginning of our journey, which was really cool. But tell me, Matt, how did the idea even get started? Like, where did this Sul Tavolo come from?
So just like other great things, it sort of happened, wouldn't say by accident, but sort of out of the blue. I've been working in kitchens in the food industry since I was 14 years old, in and out of different restaurants, just learning, picking up little pieces of information and knowledge everywhere that I had worked. Prior to COVID, a friend of mine had reached out to me about working somewhere. And at that point, I wasn't really stuck to anywhere I was working. I wanted to sort of keep exploring my options and learn new things. So I ended up working somewhere with a small mozzarella program, and we learned how to do this. But what really intrigued me about it is I would go home and I was still thinking about work. A lot of times you're working an hourly wage job. You might not be the happiest where you're at. You go home, you're happy to be home, but I kept thinking about this. So initially, Sul Tavolo began as a event company to do special events, weddings, baptisms, whatever it was, making cheese fresh in front of your guests. No one was really doing it. I saw that opportunity. I didn't think twice, and I sort of just jumped on it. It was easy to get started. I needed a bowl and a spoon, and I had to make some cheese curd. I didn't need to go all in with a huge investment. So it wasn't very scary. So that's what we started doing. Before we could do any of that, COVID happened. Before we could even do our first event, I think we had like 5 of them booked. Everything hit the fan, had to cancel all of those. I was back to square one. Um, but without COVID, this is sort of where everything else took off in another direction, which I didn't see, which was being a producer of cheese for sale. So COVID changed everything in the best way.
Love that. I love when stories
Yes.
sort of take that, magical turn, but unexpected, but positive. That's really
Hmm.
cool. And it's nice too when it happens organically like that. So,
Absolutely.
very
Yeah.
nice. Very nice. Okay. And, I know the name Sul Tavolo means on the table. So that's the literal translation in Italian. Is there another meaning? Like, why did you choose that particular name?
So it's always been a name, an idea that I've had for years. Um, 10 years, I'd say. Even going back in notes in my phone when I would sort of just brainstorm ideas, recipes, future restaurant ideas. I had written it the wrong way. I wrote sopra la tavola in my phone, and this was in 2016. I had this idea. I didn't know the proper verbiage, how to say on the table the right way, but the idea goes all the way back. And one day, 2020, I'm at my dinner table with my mother, my stepfather, God rest his soul. And I looked at him, we're eating. I said, Tony, how do you say on the table? He's eating his pasta. He looks at me, he goes, Sul tavolo. And he puts his head down and he keeps eating his pasta, slurping up the spaghetti sauce on his face. God bless him. But aside from that, it means family, it means passion, and it means love. That's what Sul tavolo means to us.
It's beautiful. And yes, that makes total sense. In the Italian culture, everything happens around the table. So it's not,
Everything, the
yeah,
fights,
yeah.
everything.
Very, very true. I love that. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay. Well, I like how your journey started. We were talking about organic and how everything's just sort of came together nicely. But we all know that starting a business definitely is a leap of faith and it has challenges and whatnot. So how do you push through those? Maybe you want to even give an example of a beginning challenge that happened when you were first starting.
So I think the biggest challenge at the beginning was learning what the real world is really like. We had a lot of great success when we started, but nobody cared about my David Rocco appearance. Nobody cared that we were doing better than them. Nobody cares that the people around you do, but no one else really does. Um, so really just like learning and figuring out that, it's not all roses and daisies. There's a lot of tough things to deal with. There's a lot of opposition to deal with. There's a lot of negativity to deal with. Was really the first lesson we learned
And
in
then
getting everything going.
yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I remember being shocked to see a new cheese provider, to be completely honest, because there are big players in the industry, which are all fantastic and they offer great things too.
Absolutely.
But it was nice to actually see the new generation take this role on. And that's what struck me about your business. I thought, okay, this is actually really cool because, it's this art form that we think maybe the younger generation doesn't necessarily care to continue, and it's nice to see that someone took that initiative like yourself. Maybe you felt a little bit of backlash because, hey, they already existed. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So I believed in what I was doing. I had spent the last few years before really learning a lot about myself, making a lot of personal changes that led me to realize that as long as I have something up here that I really believe in, and I'm making the conscious effort to make the right choices that feed what I believe in, none of the noise really matters. And what's really, really interesting about it wasn't even the big players, Saputo quality cheese, grande cheese. These guys in town, they've been in town forever. They do a great job. They've given me a platform to be able to work off of by bringing all this fresh stuff to Canada. But it wasn't them giving me a hard time. I've always said collaboration happens at the top. And all the people trying to make my life difficult were not the top dogs. They weren't the big players. They were all the people at the bottom scrounging for all the scraps that didn't like that somebody came on the scene with a smile, with confidence, with ambition. And my good attitude is what set a lot of people off. Doing it with a smile, even after, people would throw everything and anything at me to try and destroy what I was doing. And I'd come out with a smile. I didn't go on social media and cry about it. Cause like I said before, nobody cares.
You know what? You're right. No, it's so true.
Absolutely.
It's so
Yeah,
true. You know what? I agree with that. I mean, you obviously have to give yourself that time and space to deal with it properly, but you're right. There's sort of no point, right? Like you just sort
there
of deal
isn't.
with it on your
There
own
isn't.
and that's that. And speaking of a smile, you're right. I love when you're like happy, happy, happy. You start all your messages like that. So there's a beautiful energy there and it's
That's how I felt every morning. That's how I feel every morning. It's not a show. It's not to grab. Of course it grabs people's attention, but it all comes from inside. I don't have to wake up and think about, oh, what am I going to do to impress everybody today? And that's another thing that upsets people is I have to work hard. We have to produce. There's a lot of things that are in motion to make this work, but because the effect that I have on people is effortless, that's what bothers people.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. You know why? I think it's because it's like you said, it's very natural. So a lot of people maybe they're trying to figure that out, like what is this guy about? And then they realize, oh, it's natural.
But see,
And
if they spent that time figuring themselves out instead of worrying about me, well, that's another story.
yeah, you're right. You're right. That's another kind of podcast. That's a
Yeah,
psychology
yeah.
101. All right. Well, that's good. That's good. And yes, as you said, it's a very beautiful, natural sort of energy that you offer. And I know that that's what makes your product and your brand so special. I felt it. Other people obviously do. Now, deeply rooted in your brand is obviously Italian culture. So what has your heritage meant to you? Growing up, bringing it into the brand. Tell us a little bit about that.
Growing up, you remember the big tables, the family functions, Christmas, a pile of castagna on the table, and your grandmother's cracking them open for everybody. When I think about growing up, it's like every memory kind of goes back to the table. With no pun intended at all. It sort of all goes back there. And now fast forward, 30, 35 years. I'm 35 years old this year. And we're living in a world where they're trying to take that unit away from us, that love, that family, all those great things that brought this world to where it was. And yeah, there's a lot of crappy things going on, but in terms of what we've accomplished as a world, as a planet, to where we are, I think that's great. And I think it was those beautiful, healthy family units that created those circumstances.
Yes. Yeah. The family unit, it's the gathering, the community, right? A lot of the time they say like they really admire Italian culture and how there's longevity and this closeness. And I think you could agree a lot of that comes from the community that we build, whether that's family first and foremost, but also even just like the township and all of that, you have those people nearby. So it makes
Working with people in your industry, just being kind and working together. And, we don't have any time for nonsense. There's no
yeah.
need for it.
Yes, yes, I love that 100%. And speaking of Italian culture, you and I are like paesani because
Yeah.
we both
Yeah.
come from Abruzzo. Woo-hoo. Now, tell us a little bit about that. That's your mom, I think you mentioned to me that she's
Yes.
from
Yes. My mother.
Pescara, right?
Yeah.
Okay, very nice. And have you ever had the chance to visit?
A few times, not as
Okay,
much as I'd like. I
okay.
went once when I was like 10 years old. Uh, and the last time I've only been twice. I was, oh my God, like 10 years now. It's been quite some time. And, life's thrown a few curveballs and I've been unable to get back there. But like, I remember we would rent a house and we'd walk down the street to the beach, and my grandmother came that summer, my grandfather as well, and seeing her in her one-piece bathing suit, just roasting over there on the under the umbrella, the rental umbrella on the beach.
I
So
love it.
it's yeah, and when I think about that, it's like I feel the warmth of getting off the plane. I think about my grandmother's tan, and it makes me feel comfortable. It's so beautiful. Thank you for bringing me back there for a second. I
Oh,
appreciate that.
no problem. Well, what you
Thank you.
just described is like Dolce Vita vibes, right?
Yes, absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
what, we try to bring that up as much as we can. Well, that's amazing. So tell us, okay, you've gone through, your ups and downs. You have a very strong mindset. I love that. And I love how you mentioned before, no matter what happens, it's bringing it inside, reflecting on what you have and what you can bring, and that brought you through. And now, where is it going to bring you in the future? Tell us a little bit. What can we expect? Where's Sul Tavolo going?
So from day one, our goal has always been to get our product to people in the easiest, quickest, and freshest way possible. If we were dealing with any other sort of item of food, we would have been where we wanted in terms of expansion years ago when we started. Um, with dairy, there's a lot of red tape, there's a lot of bureaucracy. Then outside of that, just the industry itself and a lot of the players that are in it, it creates a lot of hurdles. Definitely a lot of hurdles. I can't say much, but like I said, our goal has been to make this more available to everybody by following the rules, which is why it's taken so long. And we have something very special happening very, very soon, and we're going to stick to our promise of making this more available for everybody. That's all we can say for now.
Okay, that's amazing. Remind us where we can even find out information because we want everybody to follow so they're the first ones to find out that announcement when it is announced.
So right now, our Instagram at Sul Tavolo _ is definitely the best place to see what we're about, what we do, where we're going, what we've done. It's also a great place to be able to get in touch with me aside from an email or the phone number. I'm always very responsive. I connect with everybody. I'm very personable. The Instagram is definitely the best way to go. Our website is sort of in a transition right now to portray the direction that we're going to be going. So there's not much going on the website, but our Instagram at Sul Tavolo _ is everything you need to see what we're doing and everything that we're all about.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
And you talked about events. I just want to take us to a moment where there was a special interaction maybe because you're a part of a lot of weddings, really incredible brand opportunities, just different functions all the time. So, was there ever a specific moment where you saw your cheese really make an impact at that event?
So to be completely honest, like especially everyone's always very happy when I show up. But the weddings in particular are super special. The bride and the groom will have 500 people there waiting to say hi, and they're worried about make sure you get a plate from Matt. Make sure you get a plate from Matt. I made the mistake of not saving them cheese when I started doing weddings because you figure they're excited they come by, but they get caught up with all the noise and all the people they got to say hi. So I make sure I put a plate aside now, but I was talking about this on my stories the other day. I love the moment when I'm cleaning up my station, and as I'm leaving through the lobby, the bride and the groom are always about to make their grand entrance into the hall. So I see those final moments of like two people that prior to that weren't one, and then they look at each other and they're kissing and they're saying all these cute things, and it's like I get to see that moment, and it happens every time, every wedding, and I feel very happy and proud and honored to see these moments. But aside from that, too, another moment where I was like, people loved what I was doing. I had the honor actually of making cheese on set for a Drake video
Oh my God.
that he did with J. Cole. It was actually, I think it was exactly 2 years ago. I got a call from someone who does catering on set. He said, "I got something special for you. I'm not going to tell you who it is." So I'm like, where am I? Like, I see all these props and I'm there, I'm stretching a batch. Drake and J. Cole, they walk by, got a little nod. I'll take it. So they didn't try the cheese, but that was a really, really cool experience. And like, I don't need, like, there was a great opportunity, if it didn't happen, it didn't happen. But it really showed me like how big the possibilities are, where this could really take you. He's got a barber, he's got a car guy, maybe he needs a cheese guy. Who knows? Right?
I think everybody needs a cheese guy, but yes, that's
Everybody needs a
good.
cheese guy. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's so cool. Definitely cool. And it's funny. You wouldn't really connect the two, right? Like how you wouldn't think, okay, cheese is going to lead me to Drake,
And
but
it
it
and it
did.
did.
Oh, there you go. That's amazing.
Yes.
And congratulations to you because it's your dream, your idea, your Dolce that brought you to that. So, that's pretty much what this conversation is about. It's like inspiring people to say, where can your dream take you? If you have enough volia, you're gonna make it happen, and it can give you like amazing opportunities like you just had. So the possibilities, like you said, are endless. So I love that. That's a
They are. And
cool
thing
story.
is too, like we all have different circumstances.
Yes.
Some people have it a lot harder than other people. Some people have it a lot easier than other people. But I really looked at what my circumstances were, what was good, what was bad, what can I work on, and I worked on what I could work on. And there's people that are trying to get to where they want, and oh, but I have it harder than you, and this. It doesn't matter. Look at what's in front of you and do your best to work with it. Like we said, internally, because outside the circle, nothing gets done. You gotta look inside and
Matt,
make it happen.
that's like very, very, very good. You have a lot of good insight there because it's so true. Like, I think that number one, good things take time. So it's like you said, some people are going to get there a little bit faster, some are going to get there a little slower. But I believe where you're meant to be, you will end up. So it's like
Mhm.
what you just said, you have to just work with what you have. Don't worry about other people, don't compare. There's no point. There's no point. That's not your life.
There is no point.
Yeah. Like,
Absolutely not. Not
yeah.
at all.
Yeah, I love that. That's amazing. Well, okay, we want to jump in now because you were talking about twists and turns. You recently had a huge life change. You recently welcomed a new little amazing, joyful bundle to your family. Tell us a little bit
Yes.
more about that.
I don't know. There's everything to say and there's not much to say. It's definitely everything I needed. Little Giovanni, God bless him, my fiance Nikki, they've been incredible. All the preparation that I had even begun to do before Sul Tavolo, it's like I didn't know it was for him and for her. And it's like all the choices I made, the good choices, okay, it's all really worth it now because all the work I did to be the best person I could be just for me now ended up being good for my business, for my fiance, for my beautiful son. So there were so many extra incredible things that came out of trying to be better that I just never thought would happen.
Yeah. Well, it depends what you believe, but I think like things happen for a reason. And so, all of those things that you were doing were preparing you for something that was coming, as you just said.
Mhm.
So that's
And
the
that's
main
all
thing.
my faith, because like it's
Yeah.
you don't always see what's going to be better. Um, but since I started to have a lot more faith in a higher power and God and praying, I don't think it's an accident that everything in my life changed.
You know what? Like you said, everyone has their way of looking at that. But I think as Italians, we're usually pretty strong with our faith. So I'm with you on that one. Um,
Absolutely.
how are you going to now navigate? You have this new role as a father. What do you think for little Giovanni? Are you going to, incorporate the Italian culture? How are you going to pass on your Italian heritage?
So I'm gonna keep doing everything I've been doing. Uh, I remember like when I was younger, Matthew. My mother didn't name me Matteo. She wanted to, I don't know, sort of wash me of it. I don't know. She's the biggest Italian ever. I'm not. I don't act like Italian. I'm not Italian. She's the biggest wop I know. And just especially now, where I feel like it's looked down upon to be who I am, an Italian man who works hard and has ambition, and I need to be made to feel guilty for that. I'm going all in on it. I'm going all in on who I am, on how hard I work, where my family comes from. And I want my son to have that ambition. I want my son to be proud. I don't want my son to think that it is wrong to be a strong Italian man. And that's that.
You know what?
Mhm.
It's definitely changed. I think things have changed in the past, maybe from our parents. You talked about how she said Matthew. I think there was a different acceptance before, perhaps. And I think we're actually pretty privileged to be able to say, you know what, I'm really proud and whatnot. So I think that that's nice that you're going to pass that on and instill that in him too, because it is
Mhm.
important. I wanted to also ask too, because okay, this is sort of a fun question here. So Sul Tavolo, at your house, what always has to be on the table? What do you think?
So a classic is just cutlets, some chicoria, some nice greens and beans. Pasta, like we veered away from it as much as we can. We don't want to eat it every day. Like it's delicious. Some sort of meat, a beautiful piece of fish, always a little bread, with some olive oil, no balsamico at the table though. You ruin the olive oil, the taste. But what there is always at our table, no matter what, is a lot of love. That's always on our table.
Very nice. I love that. And you have to tell me then, what is your dolce every day? What's the one thing that you find yourself going back to that gives you that joy?
Because there's so much noise everywhere I look, especially with what I do, and someone always has an opinion. Keeping my peace has really been my dolce, especially after having a family and a son and a great woman by my side. Nothing really matters at all. So what really gives me my peace, my dolce, my feeling of sanctuary is going inside and just really saying that nothing else matters. Because if I can block out that noise, then everything here is sweet.
Very nice. I love that. You know what? And that's really important. So good on you for having that insight and being able to do that. That's
I
amazing.
wouldn't say my dolce is anything in particular. My dolce is more of a way that I like to live my life.
Beautiful. Yes, it's a mindset that you have, which I always say.
That's my dolce, is my mindset.
Yes, and that's 100% what it is. You know what? I always say la dolce vita, the reason why you can live it every day and create it anywhere is when you change your mindset, right? Because I
hmm
think a lot of people think it has to come from outside sources, but it really truly doesn't. So I'm happy to hear.
And and like when I started to make that transition in my head, and people in your life are used to you being a certain way, you look crazy. Imagine
Yeah.
waking up one day and saying, "I'm doing." You look like you've lost your mind. Um, and to some people, I did, but now I get to look back at them, and they have to look up at me.
Ooh,
So
I like that. That's nice. Yeah,
everything I did has been perfect, and I'm
yeah.
very happy.
Good. I love it. All right. Well, thank you so much, Matt. This was a beautiful conversation. Thank you for bringing your Dolce vibes to the Find Your Dolce podcast. I hope that
Thank
I
you.
actually not even I hope, I know that this conversation has inspired others to, really find their Dolce and create that life that they love. So thank you, Matt.
And If I may just add one more
Yeah.
thing, I think everyone could get into the zone I'm in, and everyone has the opportunity to really lock in, figure out their circumstance, work with what they're working with. As soon as you, oh, but he can do this, oh, but he and she, they have this, and they were able to do this, you're done. You're done at that point. Zero in, focus on your stuff, respect your family, pray to God, work hard, put on the blinders, and everything you've ever wanted will happen for you.
100%. Very well said. It's time for another Merenda moment and a little Italian lesson. You may have heard the famous Italian phrase, a tavola non si invecchia. What does this mean? At the table, one does not get old. Essentially, this means that hours and minutes are not counted when you're sitting at the table with family and friends. This expression really speaks to Dolce Vita living. Italians really love spending time with family and friends over a great meal, and it's something that really does give life.